Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi. I'm really excited today because we have a very special guest. We have the founder of LaserQuit. It's Meridee, and she's here to talk about all different types of addictions and how LaserQuit could help those addictions. So I'm really excited to have her on the show, and she's here to tell us all about it. Meridee, it's wonderful to have you on the show. This is a really big topic. People struggle, throughout the world with all different types of addictions, and you're doing such a, positive thing by helping people because those, addictions are really hard to come off of. And, I'd just like to welcome you to the show. And also, I'd love to know a little bit about your mission behind LaserQuit and, what inspired you to start these clinics.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. LaserQuit is one of the businesses that I own, and it is a passion project, is what I keep calling it. And it's because it has the most incredible success in the people that we treat with any addiction. And when I say any addiction, I literally mean any single addiction. So it could be porn, it could be gambling, it could be your phone, food, sugar, alcohol, drugs, smoking. It doesn't matter what it is. Our treatment really, really works, and it's super amazing in the way that it works. And the way I ended up here was actually because I was a smoker and I had tried everything to quit smoking, and there was just no success for me.
Yeah.
And I just kept reaching out. Does anyone have a solution? I just need to quit smoking. And at the time, I think the thing I didn't realize is the reason it was so hard to quit smoking is because I had an addiction.
Yes.
Because when we're smokers, we're smokers. You know what I mean? Like most of us are just like, yeah, I got to quit smoking.
Right.
It's literally just, oh, I got to quit smoking. Yeah, it's kind of, it's killing me. And, we kind of blow it off like it's not a big deal because it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
And for me, I just didn't want to be a smoker. I felt the way it inhibited my entire life. I hated the way I smelled, and I'd buy $150 perfume to mask myself. So I smelled like a cherry ashtray instead. And I was just desperate, so desperate, because I started smoking when I was 11 years old. I have an older sister, of course, who, when she started smoking, she was like, if you're going to smoke, you better do it right. Don't waste it. Because, we had to steal the cigarettes at the time.
Yeah.
And so, I'd take a puff and then just blow it out. And she'd be like, you're wasting it. And I was like, I don't understand. And so I would take a puff and she'd punch me in the stomach and I'd be like, and she'd be like, that's how you smoke. And I was just like, what the hell? What a way to start. Coffee, alcohol, smoking. Nobody likes it their first time. And yet we push through to find some kind of something that stays with it. Smoking was so disgusting.
Yeah.
That entire that first while that I started doing it, but my parents did it. So it kind of must be okay. So I just continued down that road. Well, at 19, 20, I quit. 9 years of smoking. I was able to quit. But I quit because I was going to get pregnant. And I know for a lot of us women, it's a no-brainer. And it's not even it's hard. It's almost like you get pregnant and then your body's like, we don't want nicotine for this baby anymore. And you just can stop.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, not all of us. And so I was able to stop. And then after having 2 kids, my ex-husband and I started to really get into it, and we started to separate. And I was a non-smoker at the time. The minute we broke up, my middle finger to him was just light a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so insane because how many of us are like, yeah, well, here's my middle finger to you while I sit down and drink poison while I wait for you to die. It just doesn't make sense. And so I had this moment while I was sitting smoking a cigarette thinking, I hate him. And at the time I did. I don't now. We get along really great now. But at the time I remember thinking, I hate him. What can I do to make it so that, what can I do to get back at him?
Yeah.
And smoking being the thing that I chose to kill myself to get back at him didn't
Hmm.
actually make any sense. And then, I'm dating a guy and he is a non-smoker and he was really lovely about it. I'd go out and have a cigarette, I'd come in and I'd sit beside him and it would be all fine and dandy. But if I tried to kiss him, he'd be like, ew, no offense, but like, you stink. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So I finally posted on my Facebook again. Someone helped me out. One of my friends said, you got to try cold laser therapy. Never heard of it before, didn't care. I had tried everything else. So I went down, I had this treatment, I drove home and I forgot to smoke.
Oh, wow.
Forgot to smoke. Yes, that was the key thing for me. So I didn't smoke for 5 years. It was amazing. It was a choice to continually make that choice to not pick up a cigarette, but I did it. And then one day, everyone's in my backyard. I'm having a barbecue, and I thought, just give me one puff of that.
Yeah.
Just like a heroin or cocaine addict or an alcoholic, they can't have just one. And
Right.
this is the thing that us smokers, we seem to think that we're not the same. We're not addicts, they're addicts, except all of our behaviors are the same as theirs. They're just done in a different way with a different level of intensity behind it.
Mhm.
So, like, yeah, I was a total bitch when it came to me not smoking. And, you know, I was nasty when I wasn't smoking, but I wasn't ruining my life. This is
Right.
like it's the same as alcohol. People can be a functioning addict and still function through their lives while being addicted to something. And we all have this like piece of us that it's the dopamine that we're addicted to. And that's really what you're releasing, no matter what your addiction is. You're releasing dopamine, serotonin, the bliss molecule, all of these lovely things.
Yeah.
And that's why we go there. Even if the first time, like, I don't know about you, but I remember the first few times I actually took that puff of the cigarette, one, I felt so nauseous, like
Yeah.
icky, icky, icky nauseous. I felt sick. I felt lightheaded. And now it's been 13 years since I've had a cigarette. But it was really interesting because I took my kids to the Dominican in 23, in January of 23. And in Canada, you're only allowed to have 20 nic is what they call it. So that's like 20 milligrams of nicotine in a vape,
Hmm.
whatever. Like I've never vaped in my life either, so I don't know. But 20
Yeah.
milligrams of nic is the most that the nicotine that they're allowed to put into these vapes. So we go to the Dominican and they're allowed to put in 50 nic.
Oh,
So of course the kids, I mean, and when I say kids, my kids are 22 and 23, so they're not really kids, but the kids are like, ooh, and one of the four that came with us purchases one of these pods of 50 nic. And I'm
right.
watching them. So one of the kids puts it in his vape and then they all like take a puff. And I can't even tell you, like they were nauseous, they were lightheaded, they were all these weird. And I was sitting there just kind of watching them like if you want to drink, drink. That's a you thing. I choose not to. If you want to smoke, smoke. If you want to vape, vape. Like you do you. I'm not going to judge you, but watching it just was like this. Oh, look at that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. They were all like hunched over the chairs while we were outside.
Uh-huh.
Like you could just see they didn't feel good. And so I asked my daughter, I was like, why did you take a hit if you knew that's how you were going to feel? And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, dude, you just laid on the bed, like on the outside bed. You're nauseous. You don't feel good at all. You said I don't want to do that the last time you did it, and I just watched you do it again. So can you explain to me? And she's like, well, there's this rush that comes with it. And I was like, the rush that comes with it also brought nausea. So like
Yeah.
for me, it's just all such a hard no. And yet it's a thing that we do. We push past these things. Same with coffee.
Yep.
Like all of alcohol. Nobody liked their first sip of alcohol and was like, oh, that tastes delicious. Even
Yeah.
still, most people don't like the taste of alcohol.
Right.
I am one of the queens of, I will tell you right now, I do not enjoy the taste of alcohol. And my kids call me the alcohol detector. They'll get a drink and be like, does this even have alcohol in it? And I'll take a sip and be like, yep, it does. Like it's a thing that we do. So this
Hmm.
just became such an obsession for me. Like I really love people watching. I really love the psychology of people. And then to understand the psychology of our trauma, which is
Hmm.
really where our addiction is. So our addiction is the solution to the trauma that we don't want to feel. So a
Right.
lot of our clients will literally come in and be like, this is like, I want to stop, but, and we all have our reasons that we don't want to stop. We
Right.
have to stop letting our addiction brain rule the way that we move through life. And that's the problem that we run into. So I have never been addicted to heroin, cocaine, alcohol. I was addicted to smoking. And to like learn how to maneuver all of these things and learn how to, you know, live a life without any of the things. So we in addictions, we call it dry drunking. So for example, for me to choose not to smoke, but still do all of the things.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
That come
Right.
with it. Like
Mhm.
I still act out the way. So now I don't have a cigarette when things stress me out.
Right.
How am I still behaving in that way? So the way that I would do it was sugar. I'd
Mhm.
get stressed out and then I'd sit and eat a whole bunch of junk food. Well,
Right.
you know how shitty that feels? It's
Yeah.
a pretty icky feeling, like to sit there with that bloated sensation in your stomach and to be so sugar hide out that like you're just like, I almost was vibrating because I didn't have another coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that LaserQuit does. But what we really do is we trick your brain into thinking it's already got the fix. So if
Yeah.
we trick your brain into thinking it already has the high that you're looking for, you're
Right.
not going to get that high anymore. So 85% of our clients experience what I experienced, which was this like forgetting and just walking away in magical, wonderful experience, while 15% struggle.
Right.
And those 15%, we do support those 15% and we give them support in helping them find new coping mechanisms. So as a minimum, we give you a new coping mechanism so you can stay stopped.
Right.
But we also offer programs that really allow you to dig into your stuff so that you can heal from it so that you're no longer needing alcohol or drugs as a coping mechanism. So we do teach people all of these things. Now, I know a lot of people are like, okay, well, but what is she talking about?
Right.
So cold laser is low level radiation. So no, it's not toxic, it's not harmful, and it's used in such small amounts that it will not hurt you.
Yeah.
But the radiation actually creates an extra stimulation on the acupuncture points that we're using to
Mhm.
create the outcome that we're looking for. So the cold laser again is low level radiation combined with LED light therapy. So I'm sure you've heard of it. Everyone's talking about red light therapy and it's all the trend right now. It's
Yeah.
been around for a really, really long time. It's just that now people are starting to recognize the major benefits and that,
Exactly.
some of our pills we're popping aren't being solved, and yet sitting under a red light will solve my problems because our body knows better than anyone else or anything else how to heal itself. It just sometimes needs instruction to do so. And so that's what we do. We're the instructors telling your body to go back to the way we want it to act, the way it did before you ever used any drugs or anything like that. And then in the moment is when we start to really deal with the change you've chosen to make. Because I can sit here all day and tell you about all the changes I'm going to make in my life. But when the hard moment comes and I don't change the behavior, now
Right.
I'm stuck in that, right?
Yes.
So it's learning to change the behavior and making better decisions in the hardest moment because that's when change actually happens. I can tell you all day long, I'm going to quit this, I'm going to quit that, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And then the moment comes and it's difficult. Guess what's the first thing I'm going to do?
Right.
So even if you don't have that same substance, if you're acting out the behavior, we call it dry drunking because you're still seeking out the behavior or
Yeah.
the rush that you got when you did the action. So we're really looking to help people change their responses and find
Mhm.
new coping mechanisms so that they can then move ahead. But it's so much easier to do that when I reset your brain. And so
Yeah.
another thing that goes along with this is a lot of people don't realize that it takes 8 days for your brain to recover from
Mhm.
drinking one day. So say you have a glass of wine on a Saturday and only one glass of wine. It will take your brain 8 days to recover from one glass of wine. Now I know when I was pregnant 20 plus years ago, there
Yeah.
was this thing where they used to say, "Oh, one glass of wine is really good for you. Like have one or two a week." And I was like, no. First of all, I don't like wine. But
Mhm.
now they're saying wine is not good for you because any kind of alcohol is a carcinogen.
Mhm.
So, alcohol is a class one carcinogen, and it is the leading cause of breast cancer, of any cancers in your body. So, it kind of blows my mind that people are like, "Oh, I'm going to do it." It's the same as smoking. Like, I'm just going to choose to voluntarily put cancer inside my body. If I
Right.
gave you asbestos, would you be like, "Hey," and start eating it? No, because you know what it is and what it's going to do to you. So
Yeah.
it kind of blows my mind, especially these days where I don't have a clutch, if that makes sense. I don't have a crutch to lean on. I don't have that. I have to feel my way through things.
Right.
So if I'm drinking pop, I drink pop with no sugar.
Mhm.
And I try not to drink very much pop. I don't
Yeah.
drink coffee. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do drugs. I don't drink alcohol because I see so many people who are at the grocery store spending like $9 instead of $4 on some blueberries,
Yeah.
but then they're drinking on the weekend. Like, go back to your normal blueberries, like the ones I'm eating that are not organic, because you're just going to be wasting it on cancer on the weekend, anyways.
Mhm.
So there's just this really interesting, like, I want to say it's like we have this trend around alcohol where alcohol is cool and drinking on the weekend is cool. But if it takes 8 days to recover and you drink on Saturday, you technically shouldn't drink again until Sunday. You've just spent an entire week not as your best self. And
Mhm.
by the eighth day, you're going to start drinking again. Or even if you do it on the sixth or seventh day because you just drink on the weekend,
Right.
you're never living your best self because that 8 days it takes to recover, you're not even giving your body that chance.
Yeah.
So it's not even this, like, oh, well, I only drink on weekends
Right.
because essentially your brain feels like it's drank all week. Not
Right.
just that, but if you have any kind of fitness goal, alcohol is the number one way to ruin it.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are the number two way to ruin it because when you do all this work in the gym and then come out and light a cigarette, you have done so much negative to the positive impact you're trying to have.
Yeah.
So there's just all these different intricate things that intertwine with the lifestyle we choose to have. And sobriety is really the only way for us to live this life in a pleasant way
Yeah.
without all the negative side effects that come with it. Because I'm not the type of person who wants to get drunk on a Friday to spend my entire Saturday in bed. I was just telling you before we started this, like I spent the entire weekend doing spring cleaning things. Like I had to repaint interior doors. I had to, get outside and scrub my turf. I had to do all these things. I have to tell you, if I was hungover, I would have been on my couch
Mhm.
doing nothing at all. And I would have wasted all of that time. And then this is things that I would have had to catch up on, at the end of tax season or when I get back from my vacation after tax season, or I'm just postponing everything in my life because I
Right.
decided to get drunk one night.
Mhm.
No, and for me, none of that makes any sense. So I just find I am learning to cope with things in new ways, even still to this day, after not smoking for 13 years. I'm still
Right.
learning new ways to cope with the world that we're sitting in because it's also not the most pleasant place to be at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Now, since launching in 2011, you've helped thousands. Can you share some transitional clients that went from one extreme to the next extreme and how that's
Yeah.
touched you personally?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you about my favorite one. Um, and now as I tell this story, I'm not encouraging you to do what she did at all because it actually was quite bad. So it's my favorite story because she wasn't fully honest with me, so I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And that I'm not encouraging anybody to do that. Please do not do
Right.
that. Come to me, be as honest as you can. That's how I'm going to get you the best results. This lady had called me and said, I have severe anxiety. It's creating agoraphobia, meaning she didn't want to leave her house.
Hmm.
She didn't drive. She had major anxiety, major stress. She was a smoker, um, and She had some other things, but she didn't tell me about them. So it was, I'm a smoker, I have high anxiety, I have depression and agoraphobia. And I was
Right.
like, okay. And she said, do you think you can help me with these things? And I was like, yes, I absolutely can. So I gave her her treatment, and her husband had come in with her too, because I'm not sure the word she's neurodiverse, I'd say, is what I would like to say.
Mhm.
Her husband came in and we discussed the treatment, and she wanted to make sure he was cool with it and all the things. So we did everything together, and then they left when they were done the treatment, and then they came back 4 weeks later for her follow-up treatment. Um, and her husband came with her again, and he was like, I can't believe this. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I just can't believe the results of this. Like, she has been amazing. And I've been married to this woman for 20 years, and the agoraphobia has been 15 years of it and all the things. And so I was just like, interesting. So then I take her into the room to treat her again, and her and I start talking, and she says, I just want to let you know there's been a few extra things. And I was like, okay, what are the extra things? She's like, well, I have, it's trickle something, where she pulls her own hair individually. So she has, when I met her, she had very thin hair, and she did have some bald spots, but I just kind of thought alopecia, I don't judge, not my place.
Right.
And so she said, I'm sure you noticed the thinning hair. And I was like, alopecia. And she's like, actually, no, I pull my hair. And she told me the name of it. And I was like, oh. And she said, but in the last 4 weeks, I have not pulled my hair once. And I was like, wait, what? Because that was not what I didn't even know this was a thing. So me helping you with this thing, how am I supposed to know? So I was like, okay.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
And then her husband says, tell her the rest. And I'm like, oh my God, what else is in this? And so she goes, I didn't want to tell you at the beginning because I wasn't sure if you would treat me. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I also have grand mal seizures. And I was like, that's kind of a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm messing with your brain here. And she goes, I know, but I knew you probably wouldn't treat me if I had told you. And I was like, I don't know if I would have. I would have confirmed with you that it was a risk you were willing to take. And she said, well, let me tell you the risk. And I was like, okay. She said, I was having 50 or more grand mal seizures a day. And the seizures last 1 to 5 minutes, but the repercussions of the seizure, like where her brain just is not
Scar
on
tissue.
track.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, she's like, I don't feel right. I can't really function. I just kind of sit on the couch feeling like stoned and out of it for about 15 minutes. So she said it's, like a 20-minute thing, 50 times a day or
Wow.
more. And I was like, oh my goodness. And she said, yeah, I'm down to 5 a day. And I was like, sorry, what? She's like,
Wow.
yeah. So she said, I don't have anxiety. I leave the house more regularly and take daily walks, which blew my mind. She's like, I'm not smoking or vaping. I am not pulling my hair, and my grand mal seizures are down to maybe 5 a day, which it makes it safer for her to leave her home as well. So this is how like the agoraphobia started and all the things. And
Hmm.
so I was just so excited. I was like, well, first of all, yeah, you're right. I probably wouldn't have treated you because I wouldn't have been sure about these seizures.
Yeah.
But also, your body knows how to fix itself. And so I'm glad that we did this. That was 2.5 or more years ago. I still hear from her, and she's like, I just thank you. You're so amazing. And I'm like, I love this. So
Yeah.
she's one of my favorites. I have a few others. The I had a heroin addict who came in to see me, and because their appointment was at 10 a.m. and they were up at 9, they just couldn't spend their day without using before seeing me. And they literally, it was shocking the way that everything went. They showed up and they were super high, like you couldn't even communicate with them.
Wow.
So I just sat with them while they
Hmm.
both sat in their chair so high they couldn't function. And so I waited for an hour and just kind of let them have their high. And as they started to come down, we started to have conversations. And her spouse were both like, yes, I feel like this is where I would like to, be and all the things. And they they did agree that this was what they wanted and to do the treatments. And so I took them in one by one and did their treatments. And that was when I first started treating addictions. And that was about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
9 years ago almost. And the success that she had, like she's still sober. And the mom, when she brought her in, was like, I'm desperate. And I was like, you have to have her permission. Like I can't just treat her. She has to want to do this in some way.
Right.
And the boyfriend did end up using again.
Hmm.
And because of the fact that if you have ever used any substance for a long period of time and then you stop using it, when you go to use it again, oftentimes your body will go into shock.
Yeah.
Especially, for example, like alcoholics, this is the number one thing I see in alcoholics is they have to be super careful if they're sober and they ever use again because their body will go into shock and they'll die.
Yeah.
And this is not an uncommon thing. This does happen in various different with different things. So it's not just alcohol, but it is major with alcohol. And
Yeah.
so the boyfriend went out one night, used, came back. He actually died in her arms.
Oh,
She was
wow.
sober, she's still sober, and she said that was like such a wake-up call for her. So seeing people's long-term success is where my passion is and why I want to keep doing what I'm doing. Um, just seeing someone like get out of that and then start to, become a successful, normal part of society instead of, like her mom, I remember her mom had quit smoking with me, and her mom said, like, if there's one thing that's gonna like ruin my life, it's the fact that my daughter's an addict. And I was like, I do think we could help her, And that's kind of like how it all started. And the mom just is forever grateful for me. She's like, you helped me quit smoking, but like you helped me save my daughter.
Yeah.
And people who have kids with addiction, like that right there, that's the end of us.
Yeah.
How do you love something so much and then watch it ruin itself?
Right.
So a lot of these parts and the people that come in that have truly changed their own lives. I'm only here to help you. I'm a
Right.
guide and I will help you get sober and keep you sober.
Right.
But you have to want to do it because there is going to be work that comes along with it. So I even tell people who call, I'll say, like, yes, we have these 85% of people who forget that they ever smoked, but I want you to prepare to be one of the 15% because it's going to be challenging because there's no miracle cure.
Yeah.
That being said, LaserQuit can feel like a miracle cure. So get on board and get things where they need to be so that you feel good about things.
Right.
And
I love
then you can move forward in life that way.
That's amazing. You emphasize on the holistic approach to addiction treatment. What key elements are included in your programs that differentiate from other people's treatment programs?
Okay, so I don't want to give too much away because then everyone else is going to do what I do. Um, so for the most part, our treatments are 100% holistic, which in the easiest way to explain it is we're just using your body's energies to create the outcome that we're getting your body to do for you so that
Yeah.
you can do what you're asking to do.
Right.
Um, so what that can look like, there's so many different ways that this could work for different people.
Yeah.
For me, seeing this success and knowing that I'm not giving someone any pills or any supplements or anything to make this more challenging, I'm literally getting you away from your addiction, not by replacing it with another.
Right.
And that I think is major. Also the fact that we work with you we work with you to the extent that you want us to work with you. So we can just get you sober and keep you sober. We
Right.
can get you sober and help you heal your shit. Excuse my
Mhm.
language, but that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Or we can just treat you and send you on your way. So there's different ways for each person and what works for them. Some people are like, I need the hands-on. Some people are like, I just want a little bit of a hand holding. And other people are like, leave me alone
Yeah.
and let me do my thing. And we offer whatever works for you the best. We have all of the different packages that will support you in that. And we're just seeing such amazing success in the way that people are reacting to the treatments and then long-term success. Like I have so many screenshots of, a post I put on my Facebook or something, and someone's like, oh my God, I saw you 13 years ago and I still quit. Like all of these things. Those are the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right.
And and why I love the holistic approach, because yes, we do have to keep treating you to
Hmm.
teach your body what we want it to do, but then we can stop.
Right.
A pill, the interesting thing for me about a pill is that you and I could take the same antidepressant, for example, and I could take it and be perfectly fine. You take it and you're ready to throw up.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the results that you need from it, all of these things. So the pharmaceutical companies do their best to try to
Yeah.
give you something that'll help. And I see that like with methadone and Suboxone and all of those things to help people get off of it. But you're replacing one addiction with another. And I find that even in a lot of 12-step programs. So a lot of them, whether it's NAAA, any of them, they
Mhm.
literally are wanting you to, one, replay what you've done in your past, and
Yeah.
they give you these pills or allow you, this is where the term dry drunking even came from, is from the AA classes that
Yeah.
say like you're still acting in all the ways that you're like your addiction behavior is still very present. So no,
Yeah.
you may not be using the drug, but your addiction behaviors are still there. You need to work on that. This is
Hmm.
where the holistic side of that comes in. Someone on methadone or actual meth, we can get
Yeah.
you off of it without all of those nasty side effects. And that's the cool part. And when I say without all of the nasty side effects, I'd say 85 to 90% of our clients have zero detox symptoms. That does not mean you will not have detox symptoms. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's a good chance. But because everyone's body reacts differently, just like you or I taking a pill,
Yeah.
expect that your body's potentially going to react differently, because every body reacts differently. We're all just vibrating balls of energy, and it
Yeah.
depends on the way that our vibrating balls are working at that time when we do these different treatments and stuff. So it really depends on the person and what your body is already going through. But because
Yeah.
it's 100% holistic, it means that it's using your body. We're not putting anything in your system.
Right.
I don't do what a lot of cold laser therapy, like most people are only smoking programs.
Hmm.
Um, but even that, for a smoking program, they'll send you home and be like, drink orange juice with cream of tartar in it. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it's the most disgusting thing I have ever tasted in my life. Why would I want to torture myself when I'm already torturing myself doing something I don't want to do? Like a lot of us, when we're smokers, we don't actually want to quit smoking. We know we need to quit. So when I quit smoking, I'm already kind of suffering because it sucks.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Now you
Exactly.
want me to add to that suffering by putting this disgusting thing in my orange juice. And the reason orange juice breaks down nicotine molecules, allowing them to detox faster, which is incredibly important, but not necessary. We're doing a treatment to give you detox, and then your body's going to do the work anyways. So
Yes.
I just find that I'm not going to torture you and make your life worse. Let's make this as easy as possible. Now,
Exactly.
one of the coolest facts that I've ever found out is, I mean, it's not cool. When I say it, you're going to be like, cool, that's not cool. It takes 14 to 18 months for your brain to go back to what would be considered a new level of normal, which I know none of us like to hear that ever since COVID, but a new level of normal in your brain is what we're trying to get your brain to do by redoing these treatments.
Yeah.
When you use drugs or alcohol and then stop, so when you're
Hmm.
using the drugs or alcohol, you're releasing all these crazy endorphins in your brain. When you stop using the endorphins, or when you stop using these energies, things shift,
Right.
right? And
Hmm.
that's kind of what we're looking for, is that shift. So
Yeah.
when we stop, these endorphins crash, which if you've ever been depressed, it is so much harder to do every single thing in life when you're depressed.
Yes.
So now we're going to get people sober. And sober means a massive crash of endorphins, because you've been over releasing endorphins for so long, and now they're going to crash before they can bounce back to anywhere near normal. They're saying
Yeah.
it takes 14 to 18 months for that. So now I'm going to put you in rehab. We're going to get you sober. We're going to make you depressed, right?
Hmm.
Not intentionally, but this is where you're going to end up. You're going to end up depressed.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that you're now going to need to deal with all your traumas.
Right.
Well, if my traumas are already heavy and now I'm in a depressed state because my endorphins aren't there,
Yeah.
imagine trying to deal with the exact trauma that I was running from in the first place by using. It really doesn't work. This is why
Mhm.
no one, it's so rare for someone to make a year sober, is because you want me to start working on my trauma that I didn't want to work on in the first place. So I started using drugs. Now
Yeah.
I'm depressed, and now you want me to work on my trauma for the next year. Our treatment makes it so that your brain recovers immediate. It starts to. I shouldn't say it is. It starts to. It brings itself to where it needs to be. We retreat again. Then it
Mhm.
stays where it needs to be. And then we continue with certain treatments, specific timing, specific sequencing, everything to get you sober, but then to keep you sober till your brain can recover on its own. So we're
Right.
teaching your brain to recover faster because we're
Mhm.
forcing it to do so. And then we
Right.
keep treating to make sure that it maintains that.
Hmm.
And that is what makes us so different, because this is where we get you to a year without a problem.
Right.
Because I'm able to get out of your system what I need out of your system, and I get your brain where it needs to be so that now you're not depressed. You might not feel excellent, you might not be at the peak, but you are not depressed, which
Right.
allows you to move through the traumas that you need to move through.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now,
Yeah.
beyond sensation, LaserQuit also offers programs like weight management. Can you tell us and elaborate a little bit more about that and how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. So our weight management programs basically are like a kind of a way to get a grip on and start a new routine. So when we give you your first weight loss treatment, so what we usually do though is we don't just go in straight in with a weight loss treatment, because men and women, the foods we eat now are so full of hormones that most of our hormones are imbalanced. So when someone comes to me and says, like, I need to lose weight, 90% of the time, someone's hormones are not balanced. And if it's a
Yeah.
woman, they'll come to me and say, my midsection, I seem to have gained some weight around my midsection. I can't lose it. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a hormone thing,
Right.
because this is far more hormonal than it is, unless it's a food addiction.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Now, the thing with a food addiction, a sex addiction, a phone addiction, we still need these three things to function in life. So
Yeah.
these are the hardest addictions for us to deal with.
Right.
So if you're, I can talk to certain people and I can tell, like, hey, are you overeating? Do you go to food for comfort? These types of things. If they're like, I mean, sometimes, but not really, like, that's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
Okay, so most of my clients, let's talk about your hormones. And then we'll do a quick hormone treatment on you, or a hormone test in the back of your head to see if your hormones are imbalanced. So we have a couple of options when it comes to the weight loss, because if it's hormone based, we can regulate your hormones, which will allow you to naturally lose weight without an issue. Average
Yeah.
person will lose about 2 pounds a week just on a hormone treatment.
Right.
With our sugar treatment, it's our sugar weight loss treatment. It's more for people who are, reaching into their emotional food baggage, that we really start to see that those are the ones who need some help with it, because they're looking for endorphin rushes. So
Yes.
it really depends. But what we do with those ones is we release endorphins. And
Hmm.
endorphins are if you eat chocolate, your brain lights up better than it does if you do cocaine.
Wow.
So, yeah. So if you're addicted to sugar and sweets, it's because you're addicted to the dopamine. So we can regulate that. And in fact, I have clients who will come in and I always have those little mini chocolate bars. And right now they're the cookies and cream ones sitting in my office. They're probably really bad. But they've been sitting there, and when people come in, I'll be like, how do you feel about this? And I'll show it to them, and they're like, I want to eat that. I'm like, hey, you're not going to, and I'll put it down, give them the treatment. And I have lots of videos of these. Afterwards, I say, I do a video with them, and I'm like, and how do you feel about this? And they're like, ew. Who says ew to a chocolate bar? Like, very rarely does anyone say it. But if we do a hormone treatment or a sugar treatment, and that's one of your issues, it will fix it.
Right.
So you won't crave it. And in fact, a lot of my clients, especially within that first week, it's the first 8 weeks that it's helping you develop new eating habits. But in the
Yeah.
first week or two, we really see people, like, you'll walk in the grocery store and be like, ew, to all the sweet things that you normally would be like, yes. And
Yeah.
instead, you'll be like, ooh, I want broccoli. And then you'll be like, ew, did I just say I wanted broccoli? because your body's now telling you what you actually need, not what you want.
Exactly.
So it's just a really interesting thing that we do. But like I said, we also don't just hop into it and say, hey, sure, let's give you a weight loss. We need to figure out what's going on. Are you an emotional eater? Do you have hormone imbalances? What does it look like? And we do work with you to figure that out. We find that basically anybody over 35, it's not usually a weight problem. 99% of the time, your cravings come from your hormones. And if we can
Yep.
regulate your hormones, you'll be fine. I actually cured my hypothyroidism,
Hmm.
and it was not on purpose. It was a total accident. I have what's called PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I turn into a crazy person. I will fully admit that when I'm going to get my period. I will tell you, in the last 2 years of doing my treatments, the only time I'm a crazy person is if I forget to do my treatments. And the minute I start acting that way, I'm like, oh, I bet you I haven't done a treatment. Oh, look, it's time to do a treatment because I'm going crazy. So I don't take hypothyroid meds anymore. I don't struggle with most of those types of things. Like now my hormones are so balanced that for the most part, I'm a pretty rational person, which is a really lovely feeling.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Now, looking ahead, what are some of your hopes and plans for the future for LaserQuit and for the communities you serve?
Oh, this is my favorite question. The goal is to go global. We want to be everywhere. Currently, and you're the first one we're announcing this on. We've had 9 locations. We have a 10th one now.
Awesome.
I have 6 locations. So in British Columbia and Alberta. And then we just had a new partner join us in Saskatoon.
Hmm.
Um, we also have a partner in Abbotsford. We have a partner in Vancouver. We have a partner in Costa Rica. So we now have a total of 4 partners,
Right.
which if you guys are interested, our partnering option is this amazing option where you get to offer our services out of your business and I just take a cut. Um, I come do all the training with you, all of the things, and you offer LaserQuit services from your business. And my goal is just to keep partnering with people who have businesses, whether it's a spa, a wellness, even counseling,
Mhm.
where we can put these people and these programs together, and people
Yeah.
can go anywhere in the world to be able to have one of these treatments done. So
Right.
the goal is over the next 5 years to really grow and expand and partner with more and more people. So if you anyone listening is like, this sounds like something I could add to my business, feel free to reach out. I'm sure that Stacey will put all of the
Mhm.
information into the show notes as well. But yeah, we're looking for partners. We don't do, like sample treatments and stuff like that because the treatment works when you do it, period. So we can't really give you a sample and be like, oh, you quit smoking? Cool, it was free. So we don't often do that, but what we do offer is this partnership. And if they're interested, you can send somebody to us to have treatments done. We also do treatments on the people that we're working with. But yeah, this has been it's considered a fractional franchise, and it
Mhm.
has just been the most rewarding thing because now I don't have 1,400 people that are underneath me that I have to manage. I have my 6 staff, and then they worry about their staff, and I communicate with the owners. Things get done the way that they're supposed to, and I've just been really happy with this method. So to continue to grow is where
I
we're
love,
headed.
I love it. Now, from this conversation, if you had to emphasize on some important factors, what are some things you really like to emphasize to the listeners today?
The one major thing that I would like to emphasize is if you truly, like, if you have someone who's suffering from addiction, there's always hope. The
Hmm.
problem is they're not sure about their own hope, and they
Right.
lose hope because they don't know what else to do because they feel like they've tried everything. But the cool part about laser is I bet you haven't tried us.
Right. I love it. I love it. And can you tell everybody a little about your services and just go over them again, like different things that you guys
Hmm.
do?
Yeah, so we do almost every addiction, whether that be food, pornography, gambling, alcoholism, drugs, smoking, your phone, bad habits, hormone treatments, basically anything that is completely holistic that we can help your body recover and do for itself is what we will offer. The major offers that we have, though, are for the food, the addictions, and the smoking and the hormones. Those are the four we stay really focused on. But because of what we do, there is no limit to the things that we can do.
I love it. And now, where can people find you?
So you can find us on our website, which is laserquittherapy.ca. So laser is spelled Laser, not Laz. Also, you can look up laserquit.net, which will redirect you to the main page. There's links to, you can WhatsApp me, you can email me, all sorts of different things on there. So feel free to reach out if you're curious about anything at all, because I am an open book and I'm always willing to teach.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Meredith, for coming on the show today. I love what you do, and it's so powerful. It really is. I've seen so many people, through different types of cold therapy and have life-changing experiences. So I think what you're doing is great. And especially now that you focus on addiction, and addiction is such a hard thing to overcome, and to be able to do it through cold laser therapy is just truly amazing. And that could be just totally life-changing for an individual. So thank you so much for what you do, and thank you for coming on the show today. You've been amazing, and the knowledge you shared with us today is outstanding.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And of course, any way to get the information out, I'm all about it, because I just want to help more and more people get sober and show that there is a really amazing way through addiction. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. And you have a great day.
You too.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.